Do you ever feel like you're just not ambitious enough? All my life, I've been told that I'm lazy. If I just worked harder, or especially true, if I had more discipline, I could conquer the world. And because of this, I've always felt a little bit guilty whenever I take time to rest. But that all changed in 2023. I had the worst year of my life, and in 2024, I decided to take a break. So I quit my job, I moved to the UK, and then I spent all of 2025 building my business. And in that year, I started to try to figure out where this thought came from. I started looking inwards. And I thought, you know what? Maybe it's just my parents' voice in my head. It's the programming from being a child with ADHD and being told to do more. But I'm an adult now. I should be able to turn that off, but I can't. And so then I thought, maybe social media. Because if you care at all about making money, side hustles, starting a business, or building one, then it's likely your feed is full of content like this. This is hustle culture, and it basically focuses on grinding your way to success, which is slang for working hard in a boring, tedious, or unpleasant way. Internet gurus will tell you that success is just a matter of pushing harder and working some imaginary competition. Basically, that success is a direct output of how badly you're willing to treat yourself. While that kind of content dominates on the algorithm, social media didn't invent it. So where does it come from? To understand hustle culture, we first have to understand why we feel the way we do about work. What makes working hard a good thing? And to do that, we have to go all the way back to the 1600s, to the Protestant, how do you say that word? The Protestant work ethic. That word and Puritan beliefs assigned a moral value to work. Work wasn't just something you did to survive. It became a reflection of who you were. Hard work in those times literally made you a good person. And so being idle made you a bad one. This is why we start getting sayings like idle hands are the devil's workshop during that period. And so people started to look at work as part of their identity. And then the Industrial Revolution comes along and pours gasoline on this fire. The Industrial Revolution changed the nature of work in two critical ways. First, it turned time into money. People stopped being paid for what they produced and started getting paid by the hour. Because of that, your bank account became a reflection of how many hours you worked, not how much output you created. Second, it democratized work. A kid from nowhere without a penny to his name could move to the city and make it. Social mobility became possible to anyone. And this birthed the idea of the self-made man. And that idea became so popular, people started to write about it. Books like Raggedy Dick and The Fountainhead became wildly popular. But there was a dark side to all this progress, and I think Frederick Douglass summed it up really nicely in this quote. Try and see if you can spot what's wrong. An ambitious man will naturally, through hard work, climb the social ladder, whereas an unmotivated man will not improve his position. The man who will get up will be helped up, and the man who will not get up will be allowed to stay down. Can you see what's happening there? Now we're not just praising people who pull themselves out of poverty, we're condemning the poor and saying it's their fault. So people started to work harder for longer. And in the industrial age, you could, because work was hourly, at least until the personal computer came around. Welcome to the information age. Personal computers not only changed the type of work we did, it changed how we did it. We went from human labor, so you went into the farm, then you sold tomatoes, and then you became wealthy, to technology being the thing that produced wealth. And in a world where anyone could buy a computer and start a company, the self-made man had a brand new evolution. He turned into the entrepreneur. This version of the self-made man was someone who created wealth all on their own. Unlike Frederick Douglass's self-made man, who was helped up because he worked hard, this version helped himself by working hard. And this is the story that we tell today about how wealth is made. If you look at movies like The Founder, The Social Network, The Pursuit of Happiness, you start to see a trend. Long hours, social isolation, and borderline self-harming behaviors. The way we tell stories about success means that we associate it not just with hard work, but also with suffering. And that's how we get hustle culture. The idea that in order to succeed, you must be willing to treat yourself badly. People will tell you, you're not willing to do what it takes. If hard work alone guarantees success, then the single mother working 3 jobs and the nurses working 16-hour shifts would be the richest people on earth. Saying that all you need to get success is hard work is like saying that all you need to be a great boxer is the ability to take a punch. Sure, it helps, but we all know that there's more to the story than that. So if it's not true, why do people say it at all? Here's the thing. Success is complicated. The world is random and crazy, and so many things can influence your life. No one knows why some projects succeed and some fail. And that's a hard thing for human beings to accept. A large part of our success as a species is because we are able to identify the cause and effect of things. And now that success isn't tied to things in nature anymore, we've had to ask ourselves, what makes people successful? And this question is something we've been trying to answer since the beginning of time. We've said it's the favor of the gods. Sometimes we say it's prayer. Some people say luck, intelligence, genius even. And now in the era of meritocracy, we say it's hard work, and that feels good. It's a huge ego boost to think that your success boils down to your own efforts and nothing else. But after reading and listening to the Alex Hormozis and Cody Sanchez's and all the people who are like this, I realized they had one thing in common. They genuinely enjoy the grind. If you listen to the way they talk about their struggle, you'll see just how much self-worth it gives them. Working hard is a part of their identity. Suffering literally makes them feel good about themselves. And it should, but it's not proof. It's just survivorship bias. The people who say this only look at the success stories of suffering for success and not the many people who failed and burnt out because they overworked themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. Being able to do hard things and making sacrifices will have a massive impact on your life story. I can't deny that. Working hard does work. Being able to put in the hours can be incredibly effective, but only if you're doing the right things. Because despite what many may think, there isn't inherent value to suffering. Suffering for the sake of suffering isn't virtuous. It's not good. And it definitely won't bring success. A lot of the times the success actually comes from resilience. And the more resilience you have, the more likely you are to succeed. At this point, you may be saying, Timmy, why do you care? If working hard is a part of the success puzzle and gives you the resilience you need for success, then why not let just people say it? Why nitpick? And it's because glamorizing the struggle gives people a bad sense of what good looks like and gives people who enjoy the grind this kind of weird elitism about it. When you have founders and business owners bragging about how little they slept, how they never took a break, how much they hustled, they'll blame you for not being able to match their energy. You also end up with people looking up to them, prioritizing input over output. You'll see employers that won't hire people who care about work-life balance. Managers who will only give promotions to people who are willing to put in the hours. And worst of all, you end up with a society that demonizes enjoyment. My whole life, I've been surrounded by aggressive hustlers. And honestly, I'm not one of them. I can tell you for free, I don't like work. I would rather at any given moment be on a beach with a cocktail, reading a fantastic book. But somehow I've still managed to be relatively successful. I've worked at some of the most prestigious startups. I've built fun side hustles that made $1,000 in a single day. I made over $130,000 for my startup in a single month. How could I possibly be lazy and successful? Simple. The laziness isn't a bug, it's a feature. Over time, I've weaponized my laziness and made it the most productive thing about me. Like the hustlers, I've taken the thing that could be negative and turned it into my own special positive. I design my success based on the things I enjoy, not on the things I hate doing. Here's how. I spend a lot of time focusing on education, on efficiency, and strategy. If I don't want to do something, I don't. I either automate it or pay someone else if I can afford it. And that person will probably do it better than me anyway. It's like what Abraham Lincoln said. If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe, or in my case, just hire a tree cutter. And that's what's been the most efficient strategy for me. It's not a golden ticket, and honestly, it doesn't work for anyone. You can absolutely chop down a tree with a blunt axe. It will take longer, but you're also less likely to fall into analysis paralysis, looking for the perfect axe. For people who love the grind, chopping a tree with a blunt axe is probably the most effective and, most importantly, most rewarding way to do it. But if you're like me and you hate boring, you hate mundane, you hate slogging through things, I'm going to encourage you to stop listening to people who enjoy suffering and start surrounding yourself and following people who live by the less is more doctrine. Stop wallowing in the guilt that comes from people saying you're not working hard enough, and recognize your own way of doing things. Focus less on how much work you do and more on what outcomes you're able to drive. Because when all is said and done, it really doesn't actually matter if the axe was blunt or sharp, whether you spent 4 hours or 12. All that matters is that that tree comes down. And if this video made you feel a little less broken or a little less guilty for wanting a life you actually enjoy, then this channel is for you. My name is Tammy and welcome to the Cozy Capitalist Club. I'm trying to build the space for people who want to build things and be incredibly ambitious, but without burning themselves into the ground. Here we'll talk about practical strategies and tools for building businesses using my 10 years of product management experience, things I've learned about consumer psychology, and real startup principles so you can start to work smarter and make great money while still living well. I won't say that I have everything figured out, but I am actively designing my life and my business in a way that lets me make money and enjoy the process of it. And I'm trying to document that process to prove that you don't have to suffer to succeed. So, if you want honest conversations about money, work, ambition, and building things without burnout, make sure you subscribe to the channel and let's change this narrative about what work can and should be.